What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of But That's Just Me, the podcast. I'm your host, Trone,
It's your co-host Gary.
and we're here to talk about my favorite team, your favorite team, our favorite team, the Eastern Conference Finals champions, the Miami Heat. So we are back.
Shit.
We're back. Thank you for everybody for tuning in to the live streams that we had. That was a lot of fun doing those live streams. Um, and as far as the live streams are concerned, we'll be back with those. When the season starts. But we'll get to that. You guys will know. What games we plan on streaming. But what's been going on, Gary? What's been going on since that last game of the finals?
Look, to be honest, I didn't really take it that hard, like that
Mm-hmm.
we lost to the
Right.
Denver Nuggets. Like everybody knew that the Denver Nuggets was the team to beat.
Right.
Um, and I mean, we wasn't supposed to be there to begin with. So
Right.
I'm proud of the guys. Like they battle hard
Yep.
throughout the playoffs. A lot of people doubted them against Milwaukee, against the Knicks, against the Celtics, and they got to the finals, man. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it was.
No, no, good.
Nah, I was just gonna say it was really enjoyable to watch that whole run like throughout its entirety. Like so many
Agreed.
ups and downs, and yeah, just so much crazy stuff happening.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought those up. Because I bet we just gonna get right into it. So, for our playoff recap, um, you brought up the Milwaukee series, and like overall, the entire playoffs itself was really good. Like you said, we weren't supposed to be there, and we ended up making it there. I think our last podcast that we recorded, um, we kind of were talking about what the Heat might do, or if we thought they were going to win that playing game, and they ended up winning that game. And a lot of that first round series against Milwaukee, where it was people saying we weren't even going to win one, like we wouldn't get one, um, we was going to lose and four, get swept, um,
Right.
and then you know Jimmy Butler happened, um, and in that series, like specifically, because that was easily like his best series of the playoffs. He it did end up um getting hurt, but we'll talk about that kind of with the Knicks series. But yeah, he did a great job in that. More than a great job, he did an excellent, fantastic job. Whatever word you want to use, that's what Jimmy Butler did, and just you can tell that he really wanted that series for whatever reason. So like, what was some of your observations from Jimmy Butler? Because I know he had that game that you really enjoyed, that 56
Yeah, man,
56 point game.
that was probably my favorite game
Mm-hmm.
out of that whole run. Like you said, I think Jimmy just came in with a chip on his shoulder,
Yep.
trying to prove people that the bubble wasn't like a fluke. I mean, it
Right.
was the shortest off season, so
Yep.
people came back like tired. People
Yeah.
had no energy, so obviously they was gonna lose. I mean, Jimmy was hurt too
Mm-hmm.
at that time, and now him coming back and showing showing people he's the superstar that he is, and
Yep.
him taking over. And even like when he was down, when the team was down, he was talking crazy to Drew
Yep.
Holiday.
Yeah.
And but that 56-point game, man, yo, I was in my room screaming like
Yeah.
every time he hit a shot, like I was just screaming my heart out. Like it was crazy. It was probably
Same.
like one of the best games I've seen since like the Game 7 finals with the Cavs and the Golden State Warriors. Like
Right. Right.
it was crazy.
And it was, and the crazy thing too, like I was thinking the other day, I was like, damn, I wish we would have been like streaming those games, like streaming from the very beginning.
Mhm.
But at that point we didn't really know, which direction it was gonna take. And but also too, like with that, like as good as that series was, that game one against Milwaukee, that's when we lost Tyler. And we seen throughout, like as we progressed through the playoffs, we seen how much Tyler was needed, how much we really needed Tyler to be there, like with his scoring. That was a 20-point scorer that we were losing, and everybody kept making excuses. Oh, Giannis got hurt. Okay, Giannis got hurt and came back. Like we lost, and the only game that Milwaukee won was the game that Giannis didn't play. So, um, yeah, yeah, because we won at 5. Yeah, that was the only game that they won. So, with Tyler going down, we kind of saw how that affected us. And I mean, Tyler never came back. Like he didn't come back for the rest of that series, um, or the rest of the playoffs, for that matter. But we were able to take care of them in 5. Those last couple of games where Jimmy was just going crazy, him hitting that buzzer beater alley from from out of bounds. That was a great one. So just the way that he showed up and the way that he played, like that series in particular, you can definitely say he carried that series because he was
Mhm.
doing like a lot of the work, like a lot of the scoring, a lot of the heavy lifting. So we ended up taking care of them in 5. And then we moved on to New York, where, as crazy as it sounds, like a lot of people were thinking that we weren't gonna win that series for some strange reason. Like they had a lot of faith in the Knicks, and I don't know why. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure,
mean,
man.
the only player like I kind of knew that was most likely going to give us problems, and he did, was Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
I always like. I mean, as the New York native, like you, sometimes I watch some Knicks games,
Yeah.
especially since D Rose is there. I mean, D Rose is my favorite player, so I'll be watching some games,
Hmm.
and I could see like that team is just full of inconsistencies,
Yeah.
and I knew like we the Heat as a team, like they are great defensively, so I knew like with the inconsistencies offensively from the Knicks and our
Hmm.
defense, it was gonna be a light series. I mean, even though like Jalen Brunson literally carried them to 6 games,
Yeah.
but
That one game, I think it was game 2. I think it was game 2 or 3 where he just wasn't missing. Like he was hitting
mhm,
everything from everywhere. I'm like, bro, guard him. Like, what is happening?
yeah,
But and speaking of that too, like and I agree with everything you said, as far as how inconsistent the Knicks are, but also how great Jalen Brunson was, especially with this being his first year in New York, and people talking about the contract he got. I think he proved a lot of people wrong. And you can never be mad at that. Of a player, going hard, doing what he's supposed to do. But with that, also we had the Jimmy Butler getting hurt, and he still hasn't admitted that him getting hurt in that series affected the way that he played in the rest of the series. But it was very clear he was hurt. That's when I mean not Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, where he
mhm.
flopped and kicked Jimmy in his ankle and turned Jimmy's ankle in game 1. That caused Jimmy to miss game 2, which was one of the games that we lost. And yeah, that I think that was, I don't want to say the beginning of the end because we ended up making it to the finals, but that was kind of the beginning of the end for Jimmy Butler himself because of what he had to do differently. Like he wasn't getting a lot of lift on his shots.
Mhm.
He wasn't getting a lot of just he wasn't playing defense the same. So that definitely like affected what he did in the rest of the series, the rest of that Knicks series. Even though we ended up winning that in 6, it still affected what he was able to do.
Yeah, like you said, like he was never the same after that ankle injury, and like you have he needed time off to heal that. Like the one game he had of
Yeah.
rest, that doesn't help. That type
Nope.
of ankle injury, you gotta at least be out for like 3 to 4, like 3 to 5 weeks at least to
Yeah.
get fully healed. And he was playing literally like every other day,
Yep.
every other game, and like
And
yeah,
he
like
didn't
you
miss
said,
and he didn't miss a game after that. Like once he missed that
yeah,
one game too against the Knicks, I don't think he missed another game.
right, like you said, once that it's crazy too. It gets me angry because I felt like that was gonna be a generational playoff run from Jimmy
Oh
himself.
yeah,
Like
100%.
nobody was guarding him.
Nope.
If he was giving Drew Holiday work,
Yep.
I doubt anybody else was gonna stop him. Like,
Yep.
but himself, literally. But um, yeah, like after that injury, everything went downhill. But the team did manage to stay put,
Yeah.
stay active.
Yep.
Never derailed, and they kept going. And
Yep.
yeah,
And like you said, they kept going, and we ended up winning that series in six. And then the Boston series. That
Celtics,
one,
man.
yeah, that one. And you saw how how we reacted during that series. We started streaming during that series. I think game 3 was our first stream, and with that, that was the game where we smacked them by 30. So we're
Mhm.
thinking, oh, it's all good. And then Boston started hitting the shots, and we started missing them. And
Yeah.
obviously, the way we feel about Boston, just as Heat fans, we just don't like the Celtics. But like it, that series, it kind of went the way the series ended up going the way I thought it was gonna go from the beginning. Like I never expected us to sweep the Celtics, um, ever. But when we got to the 3-0, even when we got to the 3-0, I don't think I still thought we would sweep them, just because like I know the Celtics. Like I'm not dumb. Like although I don't like the team, I know that they're a good team. But
Mhm.
just seeing that happen, and then with the when Game 6 came around, that's when I was confident. Game 6, that was the whole the put back from Derek White. Oh my gosh! And if you
Man.
guys follow us on TikTok, follow us on TikTok, BTJM podcast or BTJM pod, one of those. I'll have it up on the screen here, but make sure y'all follow us. But as you can see, that reaction at the end, like we thought we had it. Jimmy came back, hit the 3 free throws. We were up, and Derek White,
Up one, man.
yeah,
When that play happened, man, my heart just sank all the way
yeah.
down to my
Oh, we know,
to the bottom of wherever, man. Yo,
we
like
know.
I was so angry, bro. Like, and then I was watching the replay,
Hmm.
and at first, I blamed Max,
Hmm.
but I kind of saw what Eric Spoelstra was going for,
Right,
trying to deny Jason Tatum the ball, like
right,
having Jimmy and Max trying to deny him the ball.
right.
But if you saw the play itself, you would see JT was like all the way at the half court line with
Yeah,
Jimmy in front of him.
yeah.
At that
So,
point, you just live with that
yeah,
and guard everybody else.
yep,
And you saw what happened. They passed it to Smart. Smart shot that three.
yep.
He missed, and then Derek White came with the putback and won them
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. And then obviously you got to listen to everybody talking about, oh, can Boston be the first team come down 3-0? No, it didn't happen because game 7 came and we smoked them in Boston.
Yeah.
um, and so, that was definitely a good win. And then we got to the finals where a lot of what we'll talk about during the free agent portion of this show, like that's where um, a lot of our weaknesses got exposed in
Mhm.
the finals. We were just too small. Denver was just too good, and we couldn't score enough baskets. That's where we missed Tyler. That's where we missed Jimmy being himself. Bam played a hell of a finals game, like hell of a finals series. I can't put any of that blame on him because he came up having to guard Joker, and also I think he was averaging like I think he averaged like 20, 24, 26 points per game. So having to do it on both ends of the game, like of the floor. So shout out to Bam, but I mean we just ran up against a team we couldn't stop.
Yeah, and just that team was the team to beat. Like I said,
Yeah.
and like you said, Bam had to play both sides of the ball, and he
Hmm.
was playing elite
Yeah.
on both sides. Even though Joker
Yes.
got his, like we knew Joker was gonna get his.
Yep.
That that was gonna happen regardless. The point was to kind of slow down Jamal Murray,
Yep.
and they tried, but it's Jamal Murray. He makes difficult shots for a living. So,
Yep. And that
like
yeah
you
that
said,
and
once we
then
get into it.
No,
Oh
okay,
god.
my bad, man. You good? You good? Go ahead.
Yeah, once we get into that into the free agency topic, it definitely showed that series definitely showed the weaknesses of of us needing another big,
Mm-hmm.
maybe next to Bam, or maybe a backup big.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like there were a lot of weaknesses that were exposed during that series. So.
Right. And I think the only game that like really the only game that really bothered me was the game where Aaron Gordon was out there looking like Anthony Davis. Um he was looking
That
like
boy,
prime Anthony
man.
Davis. And like it's just so crazy because he was hitting everything. But I mean that's just a testament to how good the Nuggets are. Like and that was probably one of the only finals where like I wasn't crazy upset. You know, at the end of the day, they were
Hmm.
a first seed. We were a eighth seed. Um, they had been good all all playoffs, all season, and they did what they were supposed to do. Like I seen like a lot of people like making jokes or trying to make fun of the fact that they that they had like only beat like a eighth seed and like a sixth seed and a seventh seed or whatever it was that they beat. But I mean, they drew played the cards that they were drawing, so it's fine. You know, once again, shout out to the Denver Nuggets. They did what they had to do, and we ended up losing that. But like we said, in the free agency section, we'll definitely get to some of the weaknesses that we have, and so you know the finals came and went, and then we started making our way to the off season, which there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the off season now, but a lot of that stuff kind of started with the draft. Uh, in the draft, you had Victor Wembanyama went first. I think we all knew that was gonna happen. Like that,
Yeah.
there's no surprise there. Um, he went number one to San Antonio, and you know I'm not mad at that. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. He 7'5" out of France. He can shoot. Well, I don't know if he can shoot anymore because there's like a highlight video of him missing like a bunch of shots in a row. But
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay. But yeah, Victor Wembanyama ended up going first to San Antonio. Um, number two was Charlotte. Yeah, number two was Charlotte, and they ended up taking Brandon Miller out of Alabama, who was like the only person in the top five that actually went to college, which was crazy. Like everybody else that got selected in the top five, they didn't. None of them went to college. Um, but yeah, uh, and one thing that we need to talk about Portland. Portland ended up taking Scoot Henderson. Now, if you've been following following the Twitter streets, um, Bam, I mean not Bam, Dame, he's been saying for a few months now that he didn't want to go through a rebuild.
Hmm.
Um, he's not trying to get a young team, and he's not trying to mentor and go through losing seasons and everything. And if that's the direction that Portland's going in, he doesn't want to be a part of that. So you know when you saw Scoot get drafted, what was some of the things that came to mind, like on your end?
So I mean, I was like when I was watching the draft live, and when I
Mm-hmm.
saw Scoot Henderson get picked by Portland, I was like, oh yeah, Dame to Miami, like joking. But um, I feel like Dame and Portland are in a weird situation
Yeah.
where they have a good relationship, but they know they have different. I feel like they know they have different goals in
Mm-hmm.
like for Portland itself,
Right.
and like them knowing that Lillard doesn't want to go through that rebuild again. They don't want to look like the bad like the bad people by
Yeah.
trading him, but
Mm-hmm.
Dame also doesn't want to look like a bad person for asking for a trade. So
Yeah.
now they're in this weird spot where like they just waiting like who's gonna attack first, like type thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a tricky one. You know, because of what Dame has been saying lately. Like he had an interview with someone and they were like, "Oh, which team would you pick?" He's like, "Oh, Miami is a team that I would want to go to." And I do truly believe that if Dame did decide to become the bad guy, like you've been saying, because he definitely, I was seeing that too. And if he decides to go ask out, I don't think, number one, I don't think anybody in Portland would fault him. I don't think the fans should fault him. The leadership in the ownership of the Portland Trailblazers, they shouldn't fault him for wanting to leave, because he's given all he can give, like for what, as long as he's been in the league.
Hmm.
So it's not much more that he could do. And then with him telling them that, hey, I'm not trying, like, I'm not at the point in my career where I can go through a rebuild, or 2, 3 years away. Who knows what can happen between then and then. So, Dame needs to go to front office, like, hey, I'm trying to leave. And if he does say Miami specifically, I feel like they kind of owe it to him, um, to oblige his trades. Like, it's not like he's asking to go to another Western Conference powerhouse. Like, he's not asking trade me to Phoenix or anything like that, or trade me to Golden State. Like, if he asked for Miami, that's all the way on the other in the other conference. Um, and for what he's given to that team, all in all, I think they can definitely like agree to his terms. Like, I wouldn't see why not.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like, you know, the fact that Dame Lillard has given everything he has had
Mm-hmm.
for that organization, like, if we want a chance to get Lillard, like
Mm-hmm.
if Miami wants a chance to get Lillard, he has to say I want to go to Miami,
Yep.
because he also has a good relationship with Mikal Bridges
Mm-hmm.
in the Brooklyn Nets,
Yeah.
and the Nets have more pieces than the Heat do to,
Right.
like, make a better trade for Dame. And yeah, like, if he wants to get out and wants to go, like, if we need a chance, or if there's a chance for us to get him, he has to say, oh yeah, I want to go to Miami. Like,
Yeah. But
and if he does do that, like you
mhm.
said, they have to, because Dame has played hard for them
Yep.
as much as he could, or as he has. They would kind of, make that decision, and not look like the bad people
Right.
for them.
Right. And I mean, and we'll see. We got a whole, summer off season to see.
Mhm.
And speaking of summer, and we'll have the summer league should be starting here shortly. Miami had the 18th pick in the draft, and there was, like, speculation and stuff of like who they were going to pick, and they ended up picking how do you say his first name? Hami?
It's Hymus, I think.
Yeah,
You say, yeah, you gotta
it's
say,
spelled
like,
Jamie, but
yeah,
it's he's of like Mexican descent. So I believe it's like Jaime
Jaime
Vasquez.
Jaquez, I think.
Jaquez, yeah, Jaime
Jaquez,
Jaquez
yeah.
Jr., which I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch college basketball, so
Me
I didn't know
neither.
anything about him. All that I know now is that he's a senior and from UCLA, and he's a big body. Um, and I started watching some clips. I know you had texted me like right after the draft happened, asking me how I felt, and like I told you, I didn't really know much about him. But then I saw some clips on like ESPN. They showed some stuff, and then on Twitter, I was on Twitter and they was showing some stuff about him. And he looks alright. Like he looks like a big body that can get to the rim. He has like the mid range jump shot. I didn't see a bunch of threes from him, but I don't hate what I saw. Like I think he could fit in. He's older, so it shouldn't be much to like get him ingrained in what we do in Miami. And
Yeah.
they calling him the Mexican Jimmy Butler. So what more can you ask for?
Yeah, like, technically that's literally what I heard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and even watching highlights, like, people were calling him like the Mexican Jimmy Butler. And
Mm-hmm.
he does play a bit like Jimmy Butler. Like,
Yeah.
if he doesn't shoot the three, if he doesn't need to,
Right.
he uses the pose, like, to get to his spots, the mid range shot. Um, he's sneaky athletic, just like Jimmy too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and he's pretty good defensively. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard he kind of, loses focus off ball.
Hmm.
like loses his man a lot off ball, so that might be something to look at. But other than that, that's a good pick. I think, but a lot of people were also saying like that he should have went with I think his name is like Cam
Cam
Whitmore or
Whitmore,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, he ended up going
And I
20
was
to
also
Houston.
yeah, I was also looking at some highlights from him to see
Hmm.
what it was like, and he gives me like Justice Winslow vibes in a way. I don't know,
Nah,
but
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He definitely has like the same like body type. But they were saying he was supposed to be like top four. He ended up dropping to 20. So there's a reason for that. And I don't know what the reason is, but I also know that Miami doesn't typically like tolerate a lot of shenanigans. So usually they go for like the safe, like the safe pick. Um, but yeah, Haskins Jr. We're gonna see because summer league I believe starts in a couple of weeks. So I'm gonna definitely check out some games. I'm gonna watch some Heat games. I want to see him play. I know we should see Jovic play. Um,
Mhm.
so I definitely want to see what he brings to the table against like NBA caliber talent. Because like I said, he's a senior, so he's done his thing in college. Stayed all 4 years. I think he's won a national championship or he's like made it at least to the final four. So he has an idea of what it takes to win. And then with us coming off of the finals run, that can say a lot. But with that being said, free agency starts next Saturday, July 1st. And after all of the praise and stuff that we've given, you know, Vasquez Jr., it's very possible that at some point during this free agency run, he's not on the team. Why?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get Dame. But before we get there, we've talked about this a bunch of times before. Just what we thought the Heat needed to do. We talked a little bit about it at the end of the live stream after the finals game ended. We talked
Mhm.
about it, and we're pretty much on the same page as far as what we think the Heat need. And one of the most important things that I think the Heat need personally is a big that can play with Bam. I don't know how long I've been saying this, but and honestly too, like before you came on like the podcast and like when I was doing episodes by myself, like I would always say a lot of the time, like, damn, like why isn't Bam getting more rebounds or why isn't Bam like scoring more or doing this and doing that? And then one of like the earlier episodes that you came on where you were saying that basically Bam is required to take all five positions. Like he's being asked to guard out. So if he's guarding the 3 point line, stopping their guard that switched, that he picked up the switch assignment on, he can't be at the paint to grab rebounds and do this and do that. So this is a reason why I feel like we need some type of big man who can um who can shoot threes, jump shots, but also rebound, like pretty decent on defense. Like they can at least rim protect. And one of those people who I think we should go after, or two of those people who I think we should go after, is Vucevic and Brooke Lopez, who are both unrestricted free agents, to my knowledge. Those are like I think that should be priority. I'm gonna say number two because I know they're trying to get Dame. So I'm gonna say like priority number two, like really high in there. We need somebody that can play effectively against Bam. I mean, along with Bam.
Yeah, like you said, try to find a big. That's one of my main points too. Is like we've been saying for so long, we need a big that could play next to Bam because Bam is having to do 3, 4 times the work he has to because he has to switch and go for rebounds and then defend the paint and then on offense get buckets. Like he's a star, but that takes a toll over time.
Right.
And yeah, we need that big that protects that paint, get some boards, have could cover for Bam, so
Mm-hmm.
Bam could rest a little bit, and then he could use that energy for defense and
Yep.
offense.
Yep.
Um, and then I think another key resign that we need, I think we need to resign Vincent. We need
Yeah.
to Vincent. Vincent, this last playoff series was
Yep.
on fire. I
Yeah, he
did
showed
not
his worth.
expect him. He did. I did not expect him to do like as good as he did, like
Mm-hmm.
at all, because he was below average throughout the season.
Yeah, trust me, I
And
know.
at one point,
Yep.
we wanted him off the
Yep.
team.
Facts. Facts.
At one point, we wanted him off the team. So the fact that he showed up, if it wasn't there, we would have lost way earlier. To be
Yeah.
honest, that
Yeah.
playoff series. And even at one point when he went down with that ankle injury for that one
Mm-hmm.
game against the Knicks,
Yep.
people were so like distraught, like, "Oh my God, we lost Vincent!" Like it was that crazy.
Facts. And
But
yeah,
yeah, we need to resign him for
yeah,
sure.
definitely. He's definitely like high on the resign priority. And I mean, it's gonna be difficult too because like if we lose him and we end up trading Lowry, unless we get Dame, we're gonna be at a like a deficit in the point guard position, which that's probably not something we need at this point. Um, but yes, definitely signing him, and you know, also too, I think that actually before I get there, what do you think about Struce, like them re-signing Struce? Because I know how I
I'm
feel.
not. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's time to let him go. Like
Mm-hmm.
he did great by us most of the time, but whenever the playoffs came around, he
Yeah,
like he just disappeared. Like he
yeah,
never showed up. And now, as we saw, Duncan just revolutionized his whole game.
yep,
We have a whole new person now
yep,
with Duncan.
yep,
And the stuff that Struz does, I feel like Duncan could do. If it isn't the same, he could do way more than Struz can.
yep,
Like playmaking, he's way better. The only thing he's not really as great as Struz is the defense, but
yeah,
Struz wasn't really that great of a defender either.
yep. We saw Game
Um,
6.
yeah, like you could compensate for that, but way better playmaker.
Yep,
His duo with him and Bam, like that tangent is insane.
yep.
We need to keep that there if we can. Yeah, way better shooter in my opinion.
Yes, agreed.
Um, and he's a way better slasher now. Like
Yeah, cutting to the
he's
rim.
yeah, he's taking people off the dribble now. Like
Facts.
it was crazy.
Facts. No, I
So yeah,
completely agree with everything you just said. Like, if we can keep Duncan, we definitely let Struce go. If we have to package Duncan in a trade, then I would say bring Struce back.
mhm,
Unless we can find like another, lethal 3-point shooter, which they've already got some undrafted players already that shoot one dude shoot like 43% from three. So I mean,
the
if they could find another
undrafted.
one that they don't gotta pay much money to, then I mean I say do it. Um, but like and speaking of that, I think that another thing that the Heat need to do is, and like I said, we'll get to the Dame thing in a few minutes, but I think one of the things that they need to do is we need to go after people that are actually available.
Mhm,
Like, yeah, we think Dame is gonna ask out of Portland, but we need to go for people who are actual free agents or people who are like teams that are actually taking calls. Like I know you were saying like you should try to go after like Zach Levine. Um, which I think he would fit perfectly with us. But like Chicago they've been listening to offers for Zach Levine. So that makes sense.
mhm,
I don't think our sole focus should be on Dame necessarily if Portland's not giving anything or Dame's not giving anything to say that he is available. We need to go after people who are actually going to be available, who we can actually get in a room and sit down and say, hey, do you want to play with the Eastern Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference champions? Like, is that something you want to do? Like, I can talk to you, you can make a decision, and now you play for the Miami Heat, as opposed to going through front offices where realistically, like I think Dame has like 2 or 3 years left on his contract. They don't have to trade Dame. Like they can
mhm,
not trade him at all and just keep him on the team and he'll just be upset about it. But we need to go for people who are free agents. There's a decent amount of free agents. Few notable free agents. James Harden, for instance, is a free agent. Kyrie Irving is a free agent. And I'm not necessarily saying like I want the Heat to sign those players. Maybe Kyrie, but I'm not saying that I necessarily want them to sign them. But I at least want them to get in the room with these people that are actual free agents and not just put all our eggs in one basket with Dame, and then when October comes, when the season starts, now we're over here um
Run it back.
running it back. Yeah, like I don't want to run it back again for the third time. Yes, we made it to the finals. Yes, we almost made it to the finals last year, but clearly there's something stopping us from winning the finals. So don't run it back. I don't want you to run it back. Get some
Mhm.
talent, get some pieces that you can plug and play into our system, and then we can keep it moving from there.
Yeah, like you said, prioritize the people that are available. And like if obviously they're focusing on Dame and the
Mm-hmm.
Dame situation. So if there's any possibility that you can get him,
Mm-hmm.
go all in. Don't pump. You've already wasted too much time. Just go
Mm-hmm.
all in. If you gotta trade 17 first round picks that we don't have, like do that. But yeah, and also coming back to that point to focusing on people who are available.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I think Derrick Rose just became a unrestricted free agent, if I'm
Yeah,
not
they
mistaken.
denied the Knicks denied his play option.
Yeah, so I would say if you can't get Lillard and you need a backup guard, I think Derrick Rose is a very good guard to get.
I know
Um,
that'll make you happy.
Definitely, and I know he could perform because
Mm-hmm.
I know what he can do.
Right.
I've seen him play for so long that I know what he can do. Like,
Right.
and it's gonna help us too because his specialty is getting to the basket,
Yep.
and that's one thing we need bad. Like
Yeah.
after Bam, nobody else. I mean, after Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
nobody else does it as effectively as he does
Right.
on our team. So we need something like that on the team. And yeah, I think if you can get Lillard, try to push for Zach Levine.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's out of the question too, kind of like just focus on putting more pieces as backup, like more backup pieces,
Yeah.
and yeah, like just and try to get a big if you can. If you can get a big,
Right.
that should be the third priority. Like get a big to play next to Bam.
Yeah.
That should be it.
Yep. And and back once as we've been talking about pretty much throughout this whole episode, Dame is I don't think it'll be impossible to get Dame, right? We just need for Miami to put together the best package to get Dame. If we got to
Mhm.
trade Hero, and I like Tyler Hero, like I've
We
always
have
liked
to.
Tyler Hero, but if we Dame is more of like a proven commodity. Tyler has proved himself, but he obviously he didn't get a chance to do it this playoffs. Um, and I'm not saying if we have Tyler, we win necessarily, but I think if we had Tyler, we wouldn't have like that last game. I think it was game 5 where we went like 8-9 minutes without a bucket. I think if
That
Tyler's on
was
the
tough.
court, something like that doesn't happen.
Mhm.
But when you think about Dame, we've seen like we know Dame's resume. Like we've seen him hit game winning shots. We've seen him go off for what 60 plus points. Um, we've seen Dame do these things. So, and you mentioned earlier, like with the Nets, having pieces. I mean, but do they? Because they're not going to trade Mikal Bridges. They're probably not going to trade Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson, I think that's his name. Cam Johnson for that. They're gonna want Dame to play with them. So who comes after that? Like who's
Well,
like who do we
the Nets have a lot of picks. So
Oh well, yeah, that's true.
one thing that's interesting is that if Portland does trade Dame is to
Right.
go for a rebuild. They already drafted Scoop. They have a bunch of young guards that are coming up, rising and getting better with Shaden and Anthony Simons. Um, the Nets have like I think if I'm not mistaken, like 7 first round picks. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So they if they were going to go for Dame, I would assume they would probably do something like Dinwiddie, Cam Johnson,
Oh yeah, I
and a
forgot they
bunch
had
of
Dinwiddie.
picks.
Yeah, I forgot they had
Yeah,
Dinwiddie.
it would probably be on that type of thing, or
Mm-hmm.
if anything, it would probably be like Dinwiddie,
Mm-hmm.
um, Finney Smith, and a bunch of picks, or around that area. But they do have a lot of picks, so I think that would be the team that's gonna give the Heat problems if Dame was to ask for a trade. So
No, that makes sense. Yeah, the picks definitely, um, that does make sense. I didn't think about that. Um, so I mean, on the player side, I think that we would put together a good package on the player side
Mhm.
because we, I mean, it's not. I mean, well, maybe Portland would want a veteran like Kyle Lowry. He probably won't start. Um, so you know he can be a good veteran though like off of the off of the bench, maybe behind Scoot, but who knows? Um, so we'll see. Like free agency starts Saturday, so we're definitely gonna see what Miami does, and I don't think Dame can be traded until like July 9th or something like that. Like, so maybe they can agree to something in principle. Um, maybe they can like make like do the talks and like work out like get the framework together, or maybe they already did and we're just waiting until July when it can actually happen and
Yeah.
they'll let that come out. But speaking of Dame, um it's time for and it's back the but that's just me moment of the week. And my but that's just me moment of the week, I have two of them. So we said all of that about Dame, and I think no, scratch that. I know for a fact when opening night comes, Damian Lillard is gonna be in a Miami Heat uniform. Now, when we when we record again, or if something happens between this episode dropping and our next episode, or this episode dropping in opening night, Dame is gonna be in a Miami Heat uniform. That's the first one. My second one, we're gonna find a big that can shoot threes that's going to be able to start along Bam Adebayo. And those are my two.
That's
Those are
tough
my two.
because knowing this front office, they'll be the type to just run it back on
Yeah, I hope
opening
not.
night again. Like
I
it
hope
would be
not.
that type of thing. And if that happens, man, I don't even know if I would watch another game that season. But hopefully that comes true. Dame does come to Miami,
Yeah.
and we
No, it's
do
gonna
get a
happen. Watch.
big that we do get a big that can play next to Bam. But for me, I would probably say moment of the week. I've been seeing a lot of like subliminal trolling from like
Oh yeah.
I guess Dame and Jimmy, and Jimmy posted a screenshot of one of Dame's song on his
Yeah.
Instagram, and then Dame was in like some type of club or something, and they was playing something, a song that had like Miami lyrics, had to do with Miami in the song, and
Yeah.
even got
They
to a
was
point
listening
where
to
the
the
free
Will Smith
agent,
song. Um,
yeah, it even got to a point where the free agent had to come out and say something about that. I mean, not the free agent,
the
his
agent, yeah,
his
Dame's
agent,
agent.
his
Yep.
agent had to come out and say something about that, and I found that hilarious. But um, Jimmy would be the type to just come back and do some trolling thing.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, it's probably gonna happen. It's
Yeah,
probably gonna happen.
yeah,
But yeah,
but
I saw that, and I saw a bunch of people. They was like, "Yo, you know that something is up because nobody has Damian Lillard in a playlist." And I was like,
yeah,
"Nah." I was like, "Don't do Dame like
no,
that."
that's such a fact. I've never seen somebody bump that Dame Dollar. I love Dame, but come on, man. Get with the times, man. You gotta get with the times.
That's true, but But yeah, so we gonna we gonna see what happens. By the time we're back on our next episode, free agent see would have started already, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot of movement. Hopefully, there's some Miami Heat movement. Um, so we'll definitely be here to recap that, talk about free agency, talk about what's going on, what's going on with the Heat. Um, but yeah, so we're back here. We're gonna have our weekly episodes dropping every Monday. If you haven't followed the TikTok yet, follow the TikTok. Like I said, I'll have it up here so you can follow that. We've been getting some followers, been getting a lot of good views on it. So we're gonna have that ready for you guys. Um, so is there
Yes, sir.
anything else you want to say before we head on out of here?
Um, I'm excited actually for the summer games, like
Mm-hmm.
the rookies playing. I want to see Jovic play, like or Jovic play.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for him to get some playing time
Right.
for so long now, and we saw he has transformed his body. He's gotten a
Yeah.
little stronger.
Yep.
So if anything, if we can get a big next to Bam, I could
Mm-hmm.
see Jovic playing a lot of minutes at the four.
Yeah.
If we can become playable, because I know he can shoot the rock, and
Right.
he's a decent or a good ball handler that could pass that rock too.
Right.
So if we could have another playmaker that's super tall, can shoot. He's gotten stronger now, so all he has to do is work on that defense if
Mm-hmm.
needed. If I could put him at the four, I'm good with that, and then have Caleb come off the bench.
Yeah.
Um, Duncan come off the bench or have him starting. I mean, if we don't trade Tyler for some reason and we
Yeah.
just completely run it back, like that's the last option kind of
Yeah.
thing, and we completely run it back. Hopefully, I mean, we could have Jovic starting at the four, and we could have Caleb off the bench, resign Gabe, and I think we'll. That's not a bad team, to be honest. Like
No.
the thing we need the most is literally somebody that can play next to Bam,
Yeah.
that could stretch the floor. That's like one of the main things,
Yep.
to be honest. But like I said before, if Dame is available, go all in. Do not hesitate. Like you
Yep.
have to pull the trigger at that point.
Agreed.
And that's all from me, to be honest.
Agreed. All right. And yeah, so we're gonna see what this free agency looking like. It's gonna be a whole lot of news cycles going around the rest for this week, especially the week starting back up. So we're gonna see a lot of rumors, everything coming up on free agency. And I know free agency soon as 12 o'clock hits on next Friday, well, Saturday morning. Um,
Hmm.
it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. Thank y'all for tuning in to all of the
So
live streams that we had. Like I said, live streams will be back next season. So, but once the schedule come out, we'll have a schedule release episode of when we're gonna do our live streams. So thank you guys for tuning in. We look forward to catching you next time. Uh, yeah, peace.
peace.